Hello, everybody. Welcome and welcome back to Mira. I'm your host, Ulysses Lua, and I'm here with my boy Gilbert. He's going to tell us a little bit about him, what he does, and hopefully, you guys enjoy this conversation, this interview that we're about to have. It's actually very interesting. I think it's very knowledgeable, and especially if you have questions about something like this. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, what's up, guys? So, my name is Gilbert. I'm a mortgage loan officer, right? So, a little bit about what I do is, we help pre-qualify, pre-approve people for home loans, right? People looking to buy. Right now, a lot of people are refinancing, right? So, that's a little bit about what I do, right? I appreciate Lua having me. And yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, appreciate you coming. Like I said, it ain't easy to have people come. He had to postpone this. We're supposed to actually record the very next day,
Yeah.
right after before. Um, but yeah, a little bit more on that. What's a little more of what you do when it comes to like specifics in regards to your job?
Okay. Yeah. So a little bit about what I do. So borrowers come in, right, and they want to get approved for a loan, right? There's a lot of things we look into. Some of them being, your income, debt, your FICO score, right? And there's so many other factors, but I would say I would just keep it at those three. If you're looking to get approved for a loan or anything like that, focus on those three. Keeping your debt, pretty reasonable compared to your income, right? And your FICO score, right? Obviously, you want to keep it in the 700s, but I mean, if you have lower FICO scores, there is programs that are available to you as well, right? But yeah, basically, when a borrower comes in, you approve them, or you at least give them a plan to how they can get approved, right? If they might not be in the right place at that point in time, but hey, you give them a little bit of guidance, and from that point, maybe in 6 months, you give them a plan, and so they can be ready at that point. So
Does it matter if it, say for example, it's two people applying, or say one has, say one person has the income, may not have the credit, but then the person that they're purchasing or borrowing or doing the loan with has, say, the score, but may not have quite the income. But combined, does that come in effect?
it does, right? So if you have two borrowers, we always have to go based off the worst case scenario. So you mentioned one of the borrowers has a lower score, right? And the other has a pretty good score, right? Even if, for example, for us, if I have an 800 score and you have a 640 score, we have to go with your score just because it's always worst case scenario, right?
Damn.
So yeah, I mean, if someone out there, is a married couple or looking to buy together, hey, keep each other accountable. Like, hey, make those payments each month, right, to keep your FICO score high, or at least at a good amount, right? So, yeah, it does play a factor in that way. Also, all the debts, right? We have to include all that, right? If I'm winning pretty good money, you're winning a lot more money, but I have so much debt and you have a little bit of debt, right? My debt can also affect the qualification process. So yeah.
So sometimes is no credit better than than credit.
Mm-hmm.
So say for example, someone doesn't have credit
Mm-hmm.
for just some reason. They never really built the credit, but again, they have the income and they're starting to make this credit. But say they have two bank accounts or two credit cards,
Yeah.
right? So not as strong or maybe as much credit, but they started their career and all that. How do we fall back? How do you guys, how do they qualify for something like that?
Well, obviously, credit history is important, right? But if the other factors like income, right, they've kept everything. I mean, other than the credit, everything is good. Obviously, yeah, there's programs available to them. But going to your question, obviously, credit history is pretty important, right? Because you're making a pretty big investment, right? A home is a big investment, right? So the banks, they want to see someone who's responsible with making monthly payments, and what way, one way of seeing that is, through your credit card payments and all that stuff, right? So yeah, but I mean, in the other factors, if you're not lacking, income, you have the good income, your debt, compared to your income is solid. There could be an exception there.
What is some advice for first time buyers?
Hmm.
For example, people that are couples or even a person themselves that are going to buy a home. What is some advice that you may have in in a scenario like that?
So, I mean, the biggest thing I would say, there's so many great programs out there that allow you or first time home buyers to get into a home, right? You can get into a home as little as 3%. I mean, the biggest advice I would say is, put some money to the side, right? Make a little bit of sacrifice, put some funds monthly on the side, so you can have a down payment ready. Um, and yeah, just don't overspend. If you're looking to buy a home in a year, right? Don't go out and start buying all this furniture, right? Just putting things into your credit, right? Because like I mentioned, the debt compared to the income does play a factor, right? There's certain percentages that you can't go over, right? And in that percentage, you got to include the new mortgage coming in. So I won't get in too much of that because it gets really confusing. But if you sit down with someone, it's better to explain on a one-on-one basis. So
Which will put his information if you
yeah.
guys do have further that type of question. He'll be able to, I think, further assist you with that. Going back when it comes to owning a property and obviously having that, what is some information you may have or may give on people that I only say this because I myself want to one day have the income properties, and I've been hearing that a lot. Income properties. What is something I'm sure you know a little more on that you can elaborate with that having that income property, and
Mhm.
what is some information you could give
Um,
on that?
I would say, well, obviously, here in the OC, the prices are pretty high, right? I would if I would recommend something to someone, right? Start looking in the Inland Empire. Start out there. Make the sacrifice now that you're young, right? Start out there. You go in with as low as 3.5 down, right? You gain equity in the home, or if you want to go multi units, I would say start with a duplex, right? Get a duplex. You live in one, rent the other one, and you start there. You in a year or two, you refinance, cash out, buy another property, right? Or you can even sell it. I mean, I wouldn't recommend you selling properties just because you want to accumulate, but I mean, you can if you want to move. Let's say here in the OC, right? You want to come back to the OC. You sell the property. Now you have a big down payment to put down. So, yeah, I mean, I would say sacrifice a little bit. Go out to the IE, look for a cheaper property. Start there, and you can either go into buying more units or just use that for the meantime to grow equity in the home, have value in the home, sell it, and then come back. So
It's funny you say duplexes. Growing up, when I was, I think from probably diapers, 3 years old, 2, 3 years old, till I was like 12 years old. My parents, I don't know. I mean, I think they probably owned the duplex,
mm-hmm.
but we ended up getting this was in Orange. We had a duplex in Orange, of course, many years ago when I think money on properties way less in the Orange in OC in comparison to now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that duplex now is probably worth um, probably the value of a home itself.
That's the beauty of real estate too.
So now, I mean, thank God they own they own a home that I grew up in during junior high school, and even my college days. Um, so it's crazy you say that. Is there like any specific processes in going into purchasing, or I know you said 3%, but anything else as a first time duplex owner and purchaser? Is there?
I mean, it depends like what you want to do, right? There's certain strategies you can come in. I mean, if you're just looking to just have like somewhere to live, and I mean, you can just buy a single family residence, right? And then upgrade coming back here to the OC if that's what you want to do, right? For many people, they want to accumulate like an investment portfolio. Um, so that way you go in with a little bit of different mindset, right? You go in just wanting to live there for 12 months, right? X amount of months. You refi, cash out, buy another one, and you literally repeat the process. And as years go by, you're just not even using your own money. It's using money from your properties, right? And aside, you have your personal income, right? So it's easier said than done, but it's possible for sure. I'll tell you that.
I bring that up because I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen, either it be Instagram,
Yeah.
TikTok, or just anywhere in social media about, with people saying like the smartest thing to do is getting a duplex house and getting the FHA loan, and
FHA.
which you can probably go a little more into that, which is about the 3% that
3.5,
oh,
3.5% down, yeah.
So we have here someone that works as a loan officer that can credit what these people are saying on the internet, which, like I, I
Yeah,
think go ahead.
There's a lot of information out there, and a lot of it's true, right? The most popular one is the FHA. Um, going into a home with 3.5%. A lot of people use that to get. It's a really really good program to get your foot in the door, right? I'm personally gonna use the FHA in my first property, right? And I would recommend it to others, right? And you start there. I mean, that program was made, specifically for first time home buying families. It's not necessarily a first time home buying program, but it was made for it, right? There's other programs for first time home buyers, but yeah. Like I said, the FHA is a great program. I would recommend it. I mean, if you want more information about it, feel free to reach out to me, and I can give you more information. If that's the best fit for you, and if that's the way to go about it. So,
do you think it's getting? Do you think it's easier, or as the years are, as 2021 is coming, 2022 even, do you think it's harder now to purchase property, or do you think it was harder back then, or is it harder now? What do you think?
I mean, right now, the real estate market is like super busy, and it's really competitive, right? It's really competitive. Um, it's a great time to buy, so people are buying like crazy. The interest rates are super low, so I mean, I don't know how the market was, back in. I don't. Are you trying to compare it like to back in the day, or?
Well, not maybe back in the day, but maybe like 5 years ago, I would say.
Like 5 years ago, 2015.
I mean, or even 2010.
2010. If you go that back. I mean, that was when we were coming back from like the
recession.
Yeah, the recession. Yeah. So maybe at that point it was a good time. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people lost homes, right? But that was the time when investors, took advantage of those homes going into foreclosures, getting them for much less money, right? But yeah, I mean, if you go back to 2015, I mean, the rates were higher. Well, the thing for the real estate market, right? It's always either one, and what I mean by price and interest rates. Right now, you see the interest rates are super low, but the pricings are pretty high. Back then, the pricings of the homes were lower, but the rates were higher. So it's always either one. It's never like they're both down here. But I think it's a great time right now because in the long run, the interest rates are what really um, screw people up, right? Because you're constantly, instead of the payment going into the actual principal, the loan, everything's going to the freaking interest rate. So that's why right now people are buying or are buying like crazy and refinancing. So
That is true. That is true. I mean, even I think, I mean, like myself, I want to soon enough, have my own home and or even duplex. I think duplex might be the first purchase for me is having that income property and then having my personal single families.
yeah,
When I do have hopefully one day kids and a wife and all the good
yeah,
stuff. But what is? I mean, like I said, I'm sure it took you a while to get to where you're at.
mm-hmm.
As the loan officer, what are the steps? What are the classes? What did you have to do what you're doing? Some sacrifices, even if.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, the necessary things you got to do is a 20-hour class that you have to go, or you have to take, right? That's either online or in person. Right now, it's a little bit tougher to be in person, right? But it would most likely be online, right? And then after you pass that, you have your test, right? And the test is pretty intense. I'll tell you, like it. I failed it my first time by a percent, and it was the worst feeling ever, bro. But it taught me, it's like even little things like that. It just taught me, like, you know what, you were that close. You had to keep working harder, right? And because you were so close, yet so far. So yeah, but yeah, honestly, those are the necessary steps. The 20-hour, and then the passing the NMLS, and then you get your NMLS number. Um, yeah, bro. Like when I was doing it, I was still working at Amazon, and I hated working there, bro. Like I hated it so much, and I wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. So even after work, and the job is pretty draining. Like physically, I mean, you're delivering packages like crazy. So stop ordering from Amazon. Like you're killing. You guys are killing those guys. So. Yeah, bro. So every time after work, I would put in hours. I would stay up late. I would freaking grab my coffee, boom, just chug my coffee, and because I wanted to get out of there as soon as possible, and I made it a goal, and I was able to. Actually, at one point, I just quit my job. It got to the point where I was like, I can't take this anymore. I quit my job. I kind of went all in into the market side. I had money saved up, right, so to pay my bills and stuff. And I just quit my job for a solid month, maybe two.
Damn.
And that was hoping I was going to pass my first time, but I failed. I failed. So I had to then adjust, right? I would go work with my dad, but still be able to study. So
Of course. Damn, that's crazy. Kind of going off that, you did mention you failed the first time. How long did it have to take until you were able to retake the test?
So you have to wait a minimum of 30 days.
Damn.
So 30 days. So if you fail 3 times, in between those 3 tries, you have 30 days of minimum time you have to wait before you can take it again. After that, I think it's 90 days.
Damn, so it just goes higher and higher.
Yeah, it just goes higher. I can't remember exact amount, but after the 3rd try, if you fail, it's freaking long wait. So, yeah.
So, higher recommendation is if you want to do it, sacrifice the time to study and be able to get all this.
Dude, it's a lot of studying. I'll tell you that. Like the industry is really really hard to know, and you really have to put like a good amount of time to really study it, or if you know someone in the industry, kind of let you know, right? I didn't really know anybody at all, so I was kind of having to learn everything on my own. Now I know obviously more loan officers, and I'm learning off them. Like I'm a sponge, bro. Like I'm always a student. I'm always wanting to learn, you know, and I'm like that in everything ever since I was playing soccer.
Yeah.
You know, great soccer players I was playing against or with, you know, I always liked asking questions, and I do that now. Like where I'm at today, bro. Like I've probably asked like over 1,000 questions, and everybody's probably overwhelmed with all the questions. But yeah, I mean, you,
you bring up a key point because I feel like it's always important for people to learn. Always want to learn. And I talked about in the last one is just learning, being able to just sit and, like you said, like a sponge, just soak in what you're learning, what you're being taught.
yeah.
It's kind of like the Latin term that says "ancora imparo," which is a term that says in English, "You never stop learning."
Oh shit! I learned something new today.
Exactly. So I think that's very important. I feel like I said, a lot of people tend to, not want to ask questions just because they assume that they can figure it out on their own. And I feel like in the career path that you are in, or even just the profession you're in, I think it's important to want to learn, because I'm sure you as a loan officer, you're working with brokers, you're working with many realtors and many other stuff like that.
Investors, yeah. That's what I love about it too. The relationships you build with people. And honestly, me growing up, I was always like a timid kid. I wouldn't really talk. So me making the jump into this industry, I had to get super uncomfortable, like talking to people, meeting up with people. In that aspect, you know, I had to grow.
Yeah, of course.
And and honestly, so far I love it. You know, every day being uncomfortable. You got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And like that's the way, you know, I've seen growth, because I've always been like, I want to be comfortable and I want to be in my little bubble, and you know, and I was just always like complacent.
Be outside the box.
Yeah. So
it's crazy. What is some advice you can give people that want to, say, pursue maybe this career or what you do?
I would say, if you really want to do or want to go into the industry, right, just don't go in it for the money, because I mean the real estate business offers so much opportunity and so much growth, and a lot of times, you know, well, there is a lot of money to be made, but going in with the mindset of just for the money, you know, it's not the right mentality, because to be honest with you, in the first couple months, you really don't make money at all. It's just learning, right? And then obviously genuinely wanting to help people, right? Because you're looking to be in the industry on the long run. You know, you want to build a good reputation, right? So if you're just in it for the money, or well, you know what, I'm gonna get X amount of money here, you know, or you know what, I'm gonna get more money. I want to get more money. It just becomes about the money, and you're just thinking about yourself, and yeah. So that's what I would say.
What is the long-term goal for you in this career? And kind of to add, what should we expect, for the people that are following you, and I think this journey, like I said, you just started.
Yeah.
What is to come 2021, and what is there to come in the future? What is your main goal per se?
So 2021 is going to be a year for me of execution. Like I said, last year was the year of me basically preparing, right? This year is just all about execution. Now it's like I'm in it, you know, and let's execute. Let's start seeing some growth, right? Learning, growing relationships with people, helping people, right? And that's what I've been doing so far. In terms of the long-term goal, I, you know, I eventually, well, right now, I have like a milestone that I want to hit in 2025. And then the long run, on the long run, obviously, I want to have my own company. I want to have several companies, right? The mortgage being one of them. And on the long run, you know, my biggest goal is to give back to the community, right? Where I grew up in, in the OC. I grew up mostly all over the OC. As a little kid, I would always be moving around. As a matter of fact, I actually grew up 1 year in Mexico.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people don't know that, but I grew up 1 year in Mexico, and then we came back, and then yeah. So my biggest goal, on the I guess like at the very end that I want to achieve is give back to the kids that are lacking resources, right? That don't have the necessary knowledge, the necessary resources for them to grow. Um, a little bit, I think, when I dealt with that growing up, and it was always tough for me and the kids around. So I think for me it's just giving back to the community, setting up like these like seminars, bringing like guest speakers, like kind of like this type of thing,
no, definitely.
and inspire this younger generation. You don't have to be born rich to make it, right? It's just about having a vision and working your way into that. I think, or on a personal level, I would always think these wealthy people or these successful people were born with it, or got lucky. But it's about really having a plan, executing, and just putting in the work, like being persistent. So
You gotta put in work to get to where you're at, and I think that's like the important thing is letting people know that you gotta put in the work.
exactly, you got to pay your dues.
Pay your dues.
Yeah.
But that concludes the important questions. We're gonna do three little questions.
Cool.
What do you like to do on your free time?
On my free time, um, I don't know. I like to spend time with my family.
Yeah, family man.
Yeah, I grew up like really, really close to my family. So I'm like, I would describe myself as like really family oriented. So yeah, on my time off, especially right now that I'm constantly on the grind or trying to stay on the grind. The time I have off, I like to spend it with my family.
And favorite foods.
My favorite foods. I love chilaquiles. My favorite plate, and my mom knows it. When we were off in college and we were dorming out there, my mom always knew like that she was gonna make chilaquiles for us, like me and my brother.
That's funny. Hey, can never go wrong with some good chilaquiles.
Yeah,
well, like I said, I appreciate you coming. Like I said, I think it was very knowledgeable information. Like I said, I'm going to be posting his Instagram. So if you guys do have any other questions that maybe we didn't talk about or get to, I'm sure he is more than happy to answer some DMs or anything like that. Like I said, I appreciate you coming, taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Like
bro.
I said, it's very appreciative and everything. As I always say, like I said, I always do giveaways. I'm giving out free stuff, guys, but no one claims it. Like I said,
free stuff. Come on,
it's free stuff. DM me, like I said, everything. Like I said, I'm gonna announce a winner, a random person, just to see if they'll claim it. Winner for the hoodie is...
Just say me. I'll claim it right here.
We'll say Brianna. She actually hopefully will be interviewed here. It's Lips by Brie. So check her out too. I'm gonna interview her soon, but she's the winner of the hoodie. Let's see if she watches the channel. But again, as always, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace.